Sadly, if we were smart about this and as a collective decided to not buy anything from PlayStation, we would be able to reverse this whole exclusively digital nonsense that's happening right now. It is very anti-consumer, and not having a secondary market in order to buy these games is just ridiculous. It becomes a monopoly, which is completely un-American, and I say this on the 4th of July, which is poetically ironic in many ways. Now, I know the bros and the Gen Zs, whatever XYZ, are saying, oh, well, nobody buys physical anymore. That's really not the point. The point is really about being able to own what you purchase. Okay, it's not the modality so much that's the problem. It's being able to go into your library after every kind of online service has been canceled and retrieving that product that you already purchased. This is really disappointing and sad coming from a company that completely destroyed Xbox with their DRM policies by probably one of the best commercials I'd ever seen. Just asking you, hey, this is how you share games on PlayStation 4, and it's very disappointing. Whether you're part of the old school or the new school and you've never actually purchased a physical disc, that's not the point, guys, and this will affect you whether you like it or not. If you want to buy a game that's like 5 years old and it's digital only, you're going to have to pay full retail price instead of going to a secondary market or a vendor like GameStop and buying it at a reduced price, so think about that. And finally, on a very rudimentary level, you can't borrow or gift a digital copy. You just can't. Hopefully, we can come together as a collective to help stem this tide. I'm optimistic about that, but I'm also realistic. There have already been lawsuits against Sony and PlayStation because of this, and I am fully in favor of those lawsuits. Okay, but enough of that for now. We are here to do a review, and this is a greater topic for another day. So love it or hate it, whether or not you like the Assassin's Creed franchise, you were old school, you played the original, or you see where it has gone or where it's going. I actually really enjoyed AC Shadows. I played it initially, put it down, and then came back to it, and there were several improvements to it. I absolutely love this game, especially the setting in feudal or ancient Japan, which is really cool. So of course, there's a lot of merch that's coming out, particularly by a studio called Pure Arts, which I think is pretty awesome, and they're doing these statues. So today we're going to be reviewing just one example, and there are a bunch of them that are coming out. So today we're going to be reviewing Pure Art's version of Noae from Assassin's Creed Shadow. Not sure what scale this is in statue. Let's take a closer look. I'm not sure about you guys, but I played the bulk of my time with Noae just because I like the stealth aspects of her, how nimble she was, being able to breathe underwater with bamboo, that kind of thing. So the head sculpt on this piece is pretty awesome, although I wish that we would have gotten an alternate head sculpt here, which showed her without the cloak. Nevertheless, it is Noae from the best that I can see, because she is obscured in the head sculpt with the actual hood. But nevertheless, it is a pretty good rendition, or the way that, or as close as you can look to the game. There are some nice artifacts on the upper part, and especially with the gauntlet, which is really nice, incredibly detailed. This statue is a little bit more rubbery than I thought it was going to be. I guess that's good because it makes it a little bit more malleable and pliable. But nevertheless, this does look really good, and I like what they did here. As you know from playing AC Shadows, one of her signature weapons is obviously her katana. This one is actually pretty nice. Again, very rubbery. I think it's just probably the PVC, I'm not sure. The only criticism I have is it's a little bit too worn and scratched on the actual blade. That looks kind of weird. I think they overdid it with the scarring, so to speak. There is a lot of detail in the hilt and the handle, which is really nice, although most of the handle is obscured because she is holding it with both hands, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It does look pretty epic though. I like the way that she's holding it over her head, which looks really cool. Kind of both defensive and offensive at the same time, like she's gonna swipe. It's really nice. So this is where the actual statue really comes alive for me and has a lot of detail. As you know, AC Shadows can use two weapons. You can dual wield, so to speak, in a manner of speaking. You do get the katana and then of course the kusarigama, which is really nice. And just look at all the detail here, the sash, the colors, the textures, just the color palette is really nice. You can see everything that she has equipped, from the little smoke bombs and of course the infamous kusarigama, and this is my go-to whenever I am surrounded by enemies. I just do that little whirlwind thing, and it is incredibly detailed right down to the chain and the little ball at the end, especially the blade. You can customize this also in the actual game, which is really nice. But take a look at the patterns and the different textures there. It just looks absolutely stunning, and this is one of the things that I really love about this statue. I always try to find pieces that have a very small footprint, relatively speaking, to the statue, just because, you know, real estate it as a premium, especially on your shelves. Now this is really nice. The motif is on the rooftop of a pagoda, which is really cool. Lots of detail here in terms of the wash and the wear and the crumbling tiles, which is, I mean, it just looks beautiful. A lot of times I'm looking at this, and even though it's PVC, these smaller statues, because they're a little bit smaller, obviously, they remind me of a premium format style, which is really cool. I also like the detail in her feet, which is really nice. You can see the strings in between her toes. And of course, the guard or the armor set on her legs look really fantastic. But that base is really nice. Now, you don't necessarily have to run out and again mirror this piece, but it does look really cool, and there's a lot of detail on the reverse side, particularly with the flame effects, especially where you see the sheath of the katana, which is really nice. Again, texturally it looks fantastic. You get a greater appreciation of how much detail went into this statue in terms of the overall art style and design, which I think is just absolutely beautiful. No fan service to speak of here, but it is Noae, and again, you get a greater appreciation of how she actually attaches to the base. There are some USB-C kind of connections there because there's a light up function, which I didn't realize in this statue, and we'll show in a minute. But again, pretty nice on the reverse side. I talked about the base a little bit because I got ahead of myself. But again, this style and motif is really nice, a very small footprint. What I like, again, is the crumbling tiles, particularly in the wood pieces, which is really nice. And then, of course, the whole other side is just the flaming aspect of it, which, you know, really looks cool. Some translucent colors, very vibrant. And I just like the way that it kind of juts out, gives it a nice sense of motion, which is really cool. This is, again, just, it seems to me like a miniaturized version of a premium format statue, which is really nice. You see those particle effects with those little slabs and stones there, which is really cool. And intricate little designs in the middle where you see the kind of like round holes there, which is really cool. Overall, this is a beautiful base, and I'm glad that they went with this motif for this particular statue. Now, here's the light up feature. Now, I'm not doing it justice because, you know, the camera picks up a lot of light, but just look how absolutely beautiful this is. And it does flicker, so to speak, a little bit, or maybe that's just the camera, but it is absolutely stunning. It is not doing it justice. I'm telling you that this thing really lights up, and you can see the glow that is reflected off of her clothing, which is really nice. The bottom half of it is absolutely incredible. I mean, that really lights up. My only complaint about this is that the USB-C cable that they gave you is criminally short. But you know, you can fix this by just buying one that's, I don't know, 6 feet long if you want. You can go to a Walmart, but nevertheless, this light up feature is fantastic, and I didn't realize this, but all of the Pure Art statues actually have a light up function, which is absolutely beautiful. I do really like this piece. It's something that I wanted to have in my collection because I do love Noae as a character. It is kind of a niche piece, so to speak, whether or not you do like the game. Again, it is a lot more plasticky than I figured, but ironically, that's actually a positive, because if this thing falls, it's not going to shatter. I've had ones that were stronger material, or at least more rigid, and they've fallen and they've broken. One thing to note, that there is a complementary piece to this statue, which is Yasuke, which is actually a pretty cool statue. I'm thinking of getting it. I wasn't impressed initially, but I actually think they go very well together. Hopefully I'll be reviewing that on the show soon. Overall, I really like this piece, so if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, of Noae, and just want a really cool ancient Japanese statue, this is the one. Alright everybody, so that's my official review of Pure Art's version of Noae from Assassin's Creed Shadows, the statue review. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Routeza Reviews. Happy 4th of July.